Welcome back to Told True. Imagine standing in a tiny capsule 24 miles above the Earth, so high that the sky above you isn't blue anymore, it's pure black, the blackness of space. So high you can see the curve of the planet bending away beneath your feet. Now imagine opening a little door, stepping out onto a ledge the size of a skateboard and jumping. No plane, no rocket, just you, a pressure suit, and the entire planet waiting 24 miles below. On October 14, 2012, one man actually did this. His name was Felix Baumgartner, and he was about to become the first human being in history to break the speed of sound with nothing but his own body. Felix was an Austrian skydiver and base jumper, a guy who'd built his whole life around leaping off of things that should terrify any normal person. Buildings, bridges, cliffs, but this was something else entirely. This was a project called Red Bull Stratos, 5 years in the making, designed to send a human higher than anyone had ever gone in a balloon, and then drop him. The plan sounds insane because it was. A giant helium balloon, thinner than a dry-cleaning bag, would slowly lift a small capsule with Felix inside up through the atmosphere. The climb alone took over 2 hours, and the higher he went, the more deadly it got. Up there, the air is so thin it basically doesn't exist. If even a tiny part of his pressurized suit failed, a torn seam, a cracked visor, the lack of pressure would cause the liquid in his body to literally start boiling. At that altitude, you don't suffocate slowly. You're just gone, and he wasn't alone in his ear. Talking him through every step from mission control was a man named Joe Kittinger. Back in 1960, Kittinger had set the previous record, jumping from over 19 miles up. He was the only other person on Earth who truly understood what Felix was about to feel, and his calm voice was the one thing tethering Felix to the ground he'd left far behind. But before Felix could even jump, the mission almost ended. As he rose into the stratosphere, his visor started fogging up. A heater that was supposed to keep it clear had failed. Up there. A fogged-up helmet means you're blind, and a blind man can't tell which way is up while falling faster than a jet. They seriously considered calling the whole thing off. Felix made the call. He was going anyway, so there he was, almost 39 kilometers up. The capsule door opened, and the view was unreal, black sky above, the glowing blue curve of Earth below. He climbed out onto the step. Millions of people were watching live around the world, and here's a chilling detail. The broadcast was running on a delay on purpose, so that if something went wrong, the public wouldn't have to watch a man die in real time. Felix paused on that ledge, said a few words. Sometimes you have to go up really high to understand how small you are, saluted, and let go. For the first few seconds, there's almost nothing to feel. No wind. No rushing because there's barely any air to push against. He just fell, silent, into the void, and then he started accelerating like nothing a human had ever experienced. In just 34 seconds, Felix Baumgartner hit Mach 1, the speed of sound, sending a sonic boom rolling across the New Mexico desert below. A man, breaking the sound barrier with his body. But then came the part everyone feared. Felix began to spin. Not a gentle roll, a violent, flat spin, whipping him around faster and faster. If that spin got bad enough, all the blood in his body would be forced into his head. He could black out. He could even die up there, still miles from the ground. For a few horrifying seconds, the whole world watched a tiny figure tumbling out of control through the edge of space. And then, somehow, Felix used every ounce of his experience, threw out his arms, and fought his way back to stable. He caught himself. He took back control. The thicker air below finally gave him something to push against, and he slowed. After 4 minutes and 19 seconds of free fall, the longest, fastest, highest in history, he pulled his parachute. And a few minutes later, Felix Baumgartner landed on his feet in the desert, dropped to his knees, and threw his arms up in the air, alive. He jumped from 24 miles up. He'd fallen at 843 miles an hour, and he'd broken records that had stood for over 50 years. The craziest part, he did it exactly 65 years to the day after the first pilot ever broke the sound barrier in a plane. Felix did it in a suit. So the next time you're afraid to take a leap, any leap, just remember there was a man who stood at the literal edge of space, looked down at the whole planet, and stepped off anyway. If this one gave you chills, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next story, and tell me in the comments, would you have jumped? I'm always digging up more stories that sound impossible but